What's up, zoners? Welcome to the earliest waiver wire show on the planet. Today, I'm going to be telling you who to pick up off of your waivers for week 10 and how much to spend on those players. Hey, man, there are a couple of league winning possibilities here, a tight end and a running back. If that sounds interesting to you, hold on for 7 seconds. What's up, zoners? This is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and Banjo, the dog, coming at you live from my garage. And this is the Fantasy Red Zone, today's episode. So like I said in the intro, this is our Week 10 waiver wire ad show. This is an early show. I am recording this at halftime of the afternoon games. There are only 3 of these games. I have one player from those games right now. But if there are more players that I need to add, it will be in the comments, for the Sunday night game, the Monday night game. Also, if there are players on this list that you do not think belong on this list, please comment below and let me know why. Hey, man, if there's a player that should be on this list that is not there, please add in the comments. This is a group effort. Waivers are super important. Okay, I have all my notes typed out. I'm going to share that with you right now. All right, we are starting with the running backs. First up, D'Onta Foreman. I spend $20 on this dude. That is a lot of money right now. 20 rushes for 83 yards versus New Orleans this week. 9 rushes to Roschon's. 6 last week, so we outrushed Roschon last week. That was a bad week for them anyways, because he had that huge game the week before that. 20 rushes to 2 rushes this week. He is clearly, pulled ahead of Roschon in every way. He is averaging over 16 touches per game over the last 4 games. That is the amount of time that Khalil Herbert has been on IR. Herbert can be activated off IR starting next week. But even if he is, dude, I do not care. I think that D'Onta Foreman gets a 50-50 share, running back share, moving forward, and I do think that he is the goal line back in this offense. And when Justin Fields is in this offense, this is a goal line back this is an offense that I would want a goal line back in. They do host Carolina next week. Carolina is giving up the second most points to running backs this year at 28.7. That is an amazing matchup. Next up, Keaton Mitchell. I would spend $20 on Keaton Mitchell. I was just talking shit about this guy last night. I was like, hey man, my secret stash of the year hasn't even touched the field. I think he had 1 touch or whatever. And then, hey, this game came out. I got to watch this game with my own 2 eyes. And I was like, holy shit, dude, who is that running back? He popped up. It was Keaton Mitchell. And I was like, holy shit. This is why I held on to the guy. Wait, I did not hold on to this guy. Anthony Richardson filled up my IR slot, so I had to drop him. But guess what, dude? I wish I would have held on to him right now. 9 rushes for 138 yards and 1 touchdown today versus Seattle. 1 touch in 2 games back, since being activated off IR. Then he missed last week due to an injury. He played on 21% of the snaps today. This is a 3-headed monster with Gus Edwards being the goal line back. Moving forward, that is fine. I do think that, between Lamar Jackson and Gus Edwards, in the red zone, Keaton Mitchell is not going to get many opportunities. But he's a threat from the 40-yard line or, whatever the fuck, dude. This guy is crazy. He does not need to be in there on every single red zone touch to be valuable for fantasy. Dude, he gained 108 rushing yards over expected on 9 carries today. That is the most a running back has gained in a single game since week 10, 2020. Ronald Jones, dude. So that was like a historic game today, and just watching that game, dude, holy shit. If you would have watched it, you would be like, this guy could do it every single week. He is an undrafted rookie and a preseason darling, until the shoulder injury, and then we picked him up. We said stash him on your IR, and then he came back and didn't do shit. Dude, things have been thin. You've been needing that IR slot. So many injuries. I understand that you dropped him just like I did. He ran a 4.3740. He hit 21 miles per hour today. That is the fastest of any Raven ball carrier this season. So it showed up in the combine, shows up in real life. He ranked 2nd in FBS with 7.2 yards per carry. I think he averaged that today, goddammit. He ranked 5th in all-purpose yards, so he was used a lot and was still super efficient with that usage. Next, they do host Cleveland, and Cleveland is allowing only the 22nd most points to fantasy running backs at 15.9, but still, Keaton Mitchell is going to be one of these guys that just need one long run to be on your team. I think that he is a flex right now, but could move into running back. Who the fuck knows, dude? League winning potential right here with Keaton Mitchell. Next up, Uncle Lenny Fournette. He said he's in great shape, and I said, hey, dude, Circle's in great shape. I like that. I'd spend $5 on him. Signed by the Bills this last week. Last in the league in most rushing metrics, but still had around 1,200 all-purpose yards and 6 touchdowns. Yeah, he was like 49th out of 50 in explosive runs. All the only explosions I see now are happening in his pants, dude. But still, Leonard Fournette worth owning, man. Like the goal line back for the Buffalo Bills. Yes, please. Latavius Murray, like I said, has been kind of splitting those red zone touches with James Cook. I think that is going to be more maybe 75-25 now, heavily favoring Leonard Fournette. He is going to be the goal line back, and they do host Denver next week, who give up the most points to running backs at 30.4. If he does play next week, I probably would start him in a flex just for a touchdown, which I guarantee he probably would get against Denver. But moving forward, I think that he's going to be a flex option the rest of the year. Next up, Devin Singletary. I'd spend $5 on this dude. Only 13 rushes for 26 yards this week, dude. He had 2 receptions as well, and they played Tampa Bay. They do have a good rush defense in Tampa Bay. And hey, you saw what they did. They abandoned the run a long time ago and threw the goddamn ball so much. CJ Stroud threw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. He had 12 more rushes than any other running back today. So he was the dude without Dameon Pierce there. He almost had 100% of the rushing share. At least 12 touches in each of his last 3 games. He was stopped on the 1-yard line last week versus Carolina. He has looked better than Dameon Pierce, dude. Dameon Pierce has been so fucking bad this year. And the thing is, dude, the head coach, I can't think of his name right now. God, man, I know it all the time. DeMarco Ryans, whatever, man. You know he came from San Francisco and he wants to run the ball. So I'm waiting for one of these running backs to really step up for Houston. And hey, I'm willing to take a gamble on Devin Singletary, but he sucked today. I think that might have just been how the game played out. Pierce did not practice. He was out all week at practice with an ankle. So who knows when he will be back, but still. Pierce has now seen 50% or fewer of Houston's backfield rushes in consecutive games. This was last week. And he hadn't been targeted since week 5, dude. And here we go. Singletary just caught 2 balls. They are at Cincinnati next week. They're giving up the 16th most points to fantasy running backs at 19.6. That is an average matchup. Devin Singletary, probably low end. He's probably a flex play. Next up, I've been trying to trade for this dude, Zach Charbonnet. I'd spend $1 on him. 4 rushes for 8 yards today. That was terrible. If you watch this game, man, this was like the fucking worst game. This reminded me of that Lions game. Apparently playing at Baltimore is bad news. I'm going to take note of that. 5 touches to Walker's 10. He did outsnap Walker 31-24 last week. That was when Walker kind of had an injured calf. But still, man, Zach Charbonnet, I pay attention to this because it's like, dude, I feel like Kenneth Walker does not average that great, of yards per carry. It's like, and then he gets 1 long run and it all equals out. But Charbonnet is just like chunk. He is averaging 5.8 yards per carry entering this game. That is second in the league behind Devon Achane. So there you go, dude. This guy is super efficient. And if this, they do have a terrible playoff schedule. But still, I do think that Zach Charbonnet is one of the most valuable handcuffs in the league. Like people talk about Tyjae Spears. I think Tyjae Spears would be a running back too if Derrick Henry went down. Well, man, if Walker went down, I think that Charbonnet would be a running back 1. They do host Washington next week. They're giving up the 20th most points to running back. That is an average matchup at 16.9. Last of the running backs, I was just watching this game. And I was like, dude, who is that running that touchdown? It was Kenneth Gainwell. I love Kenneth Gainwell from last year. But then, man, they have been giving Swift, pretty much like 80% of the rushing share. 2 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. Okay, so who knows? This game is not over while this show is recording. He had not scored more than 7 fantasy points since week 1 heading into this game. I think he has 7 a couple times 9 points in week 1. So he has not hit double digits. He does have the 5th easiest playoff schedule for running backs. I've been trying to trade for Swift because of that, but the dude does not want to budge. Like I said, if you dominate your league, nobody wants to trade with you. But I think I just scored the least amount of points, man. I'm a Kenneth Walker, Travis Kelce. We got some shit going on, man, on my team right now. We got to figure it out. I'm scoring 200 points, and now I'm scoring like 70 something. What the fuck? So again, 5th easiest playoff schedule for running backs. They are on bye next week. All right, on to the wide receivers. There are not many wide receivers right now. I was trying really hard to find some. Everybody 50% or less owned. Not so much, dude. Demario Douglas. He was my secret start of the week this week. I spent $5 on this dude. He is a 6th round rookie. He had 5 receptions on a team leading 7 targets for 55 yards. That led the team as well versus Washington. Man, Washington, if you want to start wide receivers against a team, it was always versus Washington, man. They fucking suck. And here we go. He barely did anything even against Washington, but still, he's the only wide receiver on this team pretty much. I know Juju Smith-Schuster was involved today, but I'm not relying on that, dude. Kendrick Bourne on IR. Parker concussed. He is among 33 NFL wide receivers with at least 3 rushing attempts. Douglas's 9.7 yards per rushing attempt ranks 5th in the league, and his 7.7 yards after contact is number 1. And he's competing against people like Deebo Samuel and stuff like that, so they are getting him involved in more than just catching the ball. Douglas's 8 first read targets and 2 green zone first read targets led all New England pass catchers weeks 7 through 8. Green zone is the opponent's 5-yard line. So he is getting plays drawn up for him. Since he is the first read target, this play that they drew up is meant for Demario Douglas, and this is in the green zone. So, dude, on the 5-yard line, he's getting I was like, when I saw that Hunter Henry caught that touchdown today, I did say that he probably would catch a touchdown, but I thought Demario would as well. I bet you that was a 50-50 Demario or Hunter Henry ball. They do host Indianapolis next week. They give up the 15th most points to wide receivers at 29.1. That is an average matchup. Demario Douglas, man, probably a flex play. And here we go, dude. The last of the wide receivers. Yes, only 2 wide receivers on this week's waiver wire show. Hopefully there are more in tonight's and next game. Noah Brown, man, I saw him like in some stats last week, and I was thinking, yeah. And then he was going against, I was checking out what my starts of the week were, and I was like, dude, the slot receiver for the fucking Texans has the best matchup. Oh my God. And then you saw what happened. 6 receptions on 6 targets for 157 yards and 1 touchdown today versus Tampa Bay. That led the team in receiving yards. Now, I would only spend $1 on this dude because of that matchup, and I need to know. And this guy was a 7th round draft pick in 2017. So it's not like this guy is anywhere near a rookie, but still, you can kind of see like a veteran slot receiver, just like Adam Thielen for, what's his name? Bryce Young. Maybe something of the same over here in Houston. I say over here like I live there. I don't fucking live there. For the Texans. But yeah, dude, Dell out last week with a concussion. Robert Woods out with a foot injury. So he's been dealing with a depleted wide receiver core. You saw what Tank Dell just did. He was dropped in our league. He's on waivers right now. I don't have any money for him or enough money for him. That sucks. But Noah Brown, we do want to keep an eye on this. Like I said, I would probably not start him next week, but I do want him on my team just to see what happens. At Cincinnati, next week, they are giving up the 22nd most points to wide receivers at 26.1. That is kind of an average matchup. All right, guys, on to the tight ends, and we've got a fucking beast, dude, right off the bat. Taysom Hill. I'd spend $30 on Taysom Hill right now. I am a Travis Kelce owner. I just got like 2.5 points for my first round tight end, and this dude walks in off the goddamn waiver show and scores like 18 points. We'll get into that. He had 11 rushes. I am an Alvin Kamara owner as well, so double dipping on this shit right here. 11 rushes for 52 yards, 4 receptions, and a touchdown today versus Chicago. That, 52 yards rushing. He led in attempts and yardage. More than Alvin Kamara. That is crazy. Oh, it's right there. At least 8 touches over the last 4 games. 4 touchdowns in those 4 games, okay? Dude, it's ridiculous. Tight end number 5 on the year last year. So this is nothing new. Usually he turns into a pumpkin at some time, but maybe this year it is not going to be like that. You got to ride this till it ends, man. It's totally worth it. So he had a streak of 4 straight double-digit fantasy games last year. Well, guess what, dude? This year he is now way inside the top 10. He's probably like tight end 7 or something. With 14-plus fantasy points in each of the last 3 games. He's on a 3-game streak of 14-plus fantasy points. He did similar to that last season. He is at Minnesota next week. They're giving up the 20th most fantasy points to tight ends at 8.4. That is an average matchup. Taysom Hill, dude, he is locked. He is a tight end 1. Locked in your lineup. I said that he was a top 5 start the other day. He was my secret start of the week like 3 weeks ago on his first time that he broke out. Taysom Hill, you got to spend money on this dude. So $30 on him. Next up, Trey McBride, okay? $5, another tight end. 3 receptions on 5 targets for 22 yards. I want to say he's a second-year tight end. He was a high draft pick last year. 2 and through for 58 yards. So you're looking at the share. You're like, holy shit, that's like 50% of his share. Like, oh yeah, pretty close. So if you look at the share percentage of yards, you're like, holy shit, that was a good game. But no, it was not. But that is the last game that we're probably ever going to see Tune, man. And then it's going to turn to a different tune. He's going to be singing backup to Kyler Murray, and he's got a whole nother tune. 14 targets and a touchdown last week versus Baltimore. So this fool had 14 targets in a game against a defense that annihilates people, apparently. That is a 39% target share, the highest of any tight end in a game this season. So when Kyler Murray comes back, I would not be surprised if this fool gets hyper-targeted. Zach Ertz is on IR for like 3 more weeks. Kyler Murray should be back next week. They host Atlanta next week. 14th most points to tight ends at 9.9. That is a better than average matchup. Pretty much average, though. And hey, man, if anybody's averaging 10 points against a defense, give it to me. That's all I want for my tight end. All right, guys, the last person on this waiver wire show, Josh Dobbs. Dude, $5 I spent on this fool. This is amazing. I don't know what's going to happen here, but still, the story, this is like Baker Mayfield flying across the country and then beating somebody last year for the Rams. It was crazy shit. 158 passing yards on 2 touchdowns, 7 rushes for 66 yards, and a touchdown this week versus Atlanta, dude. 22 fantasy points last week for the Falcons, right? He just scored 16 this week for the Vikings. And that was like not even playing until the second quarter sometime. Because Jaron Hill got injured, I'm pretty sure. Or they just saw enough, but I'm pretty sure he got injured. 3 games with over 22 fantasy points this season, dude. And now he gets Hawkinson. Justin Jefferson is now going to come back, apparently, and not hold out, thank God. And Jordan Addison. And I know Osborne got fucked up this week, but even Osborne is a good weapon, especially if you're dealing with what Arizona had. Dude, the Vikings have a good offensive line and a great offensive coach. So Josh Dobbs, he might be like a 20-point quarterback for you moving forward. They host New Orleans next week. They are giving up the 27th most points to quarterbacks. That is a terrible matchup at 14.8 points per game. Yeah, dude. So Josh Dobbs, you probably do not want to start him next week, but if you have to, you might as well, dude. And guess what? Kirk Cousins could not run the ball. Now the Vikings have a rushing quarterback. Let's see how this goes. All right, everybody. That is the show. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if there is somebody on this list that you do not like, please let me know in the comments. I have an open mind. I can change it if given new information. Also, if there are players that should be on this list that you do not see, please comment below. Also, hopefully I earned a thumbs up. Hopefully I earned a subscription if you are not already subscribed. Please, we need it, man. We need it so much. It would really help us create earlier content, better, higher quality content. If we could do this more days than what we're allotted to right now, that'd be amazing. So please support this show. Hey, this is Tyler, Big Turd Ward, and I appreciate you.